Hey, it's Dave from CHAPS, Canadian Haunting and Paranormal Society, continuing on with our little video series on different properties of investigation and things that can happen, unorthodox tools, etc., etc. This one is going to be working on anomalies, light anomalies that happen to occur in pictures. We can't really so much recreate as create, right? I mean, like I can't stop what comes out as what's considered evidence out there, but I can try and recreate using as many different medias, whether that be smoke, dog hair, cat hair, dust, cobwebs, whatever. And we're gonna do this with a series of cameras. So we're gonna start with different styles of flash cameras, DSLRs, a few different speeds, etc., different ways of projection, and then we're going to kind of repeat the same when it comes to infrared on the video cameras and seeing what airflow is. We're going to make sure that everything seems to be like an average situation on what you capture. And I'll write down the results and we'll see where it comes from. So in the end, I hope you enjoy it and keep watching our videos. Okay, so we've done the photos, so I guess the next stage is to do sort of like a public and peer review and identification series. Put them out on certain groups and see what people seem to think they are. To rule whether there's any point to the picture itself. Certainly harder to recreate pictures than just catch it, so to speak. But yeah, so it's our next step there to seeing whether it's an obvious or if there's a possible that I've recreated something that other people might say is paranormal. Okay, so the results coming in from the photo half of this video, and please continue to watch it because we're working on the video cameras next on photography. Probably one of the biggest observations that we had come up with, obviously, was the fact that the lower quality cameras, I'm not saying lower quality, but that's a funny thing to say. We beta tested 3 cameras, 2 styles of point and shoot of different grade, and a DSLR. It came right down to the DSLR produced the least amount of results. It had the most discerning scope, shall we say, whether it's a more broad-based camera, has a broader palette, kind of takes that wider, everything in it in one shot type thing. It had the most results. You know, you're basically speaking, it's your basic point and shoot. This is what gets used by paranormal investigators the most. So, you know, because DSLRs don't like to take pictures in the dark, like they're a portrait style camera, landscape. So really, I mean, the other cameras are built more for it, but you're going to get more results based on it. You can definitely tell this is how an organized investigator does his experiments. Everything's kind of scratched down. There was a lot of anomalies that were created out of trying to create anomalies. Very difficult to recreate a picture, put it on purpose. One of the things I'd say is actually we got as many anomalies after the fact. Like if we had cast dust, you know, at the time we were getting like the bulky dust, you could definitely tell reflective things, but then 4 or 5 minutes later, you know, we were getting like those were the true orbs that were coming up, right? Even the orbs with the little screaming faces in them, they were coming after, you know, moments after, which kind of like goes to, you know, happenstance. This makes me think more now of, like, say, when an investigator opens the door to come into a room, you're going to disturb dust. Either they're in there for a couple of minutes taking pictures and all of a sudden you've got orbs. Well, there's suspended dust. And unfortunately, a lot of people will say that there's no dust in a room. Any room can be incredibly clean. There's no draft in a room. We did experiment, obviously, with having a running fan in the background just so we can accelerate results, though it didn't add much to it. But remember that there's convection currents in rooms and heat makes things move, right? So, and even your breathing, your shuffling of your feet. So orbs get created, everything becomes down to happenstance. It was incredibly hard to recreate. So basically over time, repression, the more orbs were happening because things were settling to the ground. As we were typically taking pictures, casting things over the cameras, you'd be amazed at how many shadows were actually created. Certainly accelerated by a flashlight. If an investigator would be using a flashlight, I mean, I was surprised that dropping dust, you know, a foot in front of the camera was casting a shadow 8 feet across the room against the wall. Same thing with pet hair. I mean, some of these pictures are very obvious that it's pet hair and that it's dog hair and cat hair. We used both. They become very obvious. Yet, if you cropped out that part of a picture of where the pet hair was and just got where the shadow was in the background, well, then the response that we got online was much different. You know, that there was something in our house, or I think one person said I had to bleach my curtains because I had a stain on it. So we found that diffused water, sprayed water, and smoke and breath all kind of had similar results as when you took pepper, cigarette ashes, anything that has a flake-like substance, all kind of gave you the shine back, the glitter response. You know, when it all comes right down to it. So, I mean, it's obvious that orbs can be created, for sure. It is definitely harder to create because you're manufacturing an idea rather than it happening, but it can happen. I know that in our house, like we've got a black lab and we've got dog hair constantly around the house, and it gets kicked up when you walk into a room, right? So, you know, naturally speaking, you know, dust is dust, hair is hair. It's naturally occurring, and even though, you know, like say we threw the dust, you know, 10 minutes later we're taking pictures and we're getting orbs. Did get some interesting pareidolia. I know the one picture in the backyard out of my breath was probably -5 degrees outside centigrade. That was really neat. Look, even I looked at that and went, that's a really cool, that's a really detailed face. Obviously, we can't put much into that, but it was interesting. I put these pictures on boards of investigators and put these pictures on boards with non-investigators but fans of the paranormal. Pictures of the board on the investigative boards pretty much came up with the results I expected because, you know, we're going to have analysis based that we're kind of used to. On the non-boards, I also got, you know, I got half the people concerned that my house was haunted. I only put 3 pictures on there, just a selection. But what I was impressed with is that there were a great number of people that were trying to debunk it as well. And that's a positive thing, you know. I mean, it's positive that we've got people that are trying to debunk it, especially when, you know, say 5 years ago, everybody would lose it. That being said, I don't know if on those other boards that I put them on, which are public boards, I've been known to put out videos of debunking and explanation and instructional videos. So me putting these pictures out might have also been a precursor to these people that I was attempting to discredit something. So it wasn't so much a discredit as much as just proving that things can be made out to be. And this trend will follow when we do it. You know, obviously in this video, as you watch it, you've seen examples of it, and we're going to go on and see what we can do with the video cameras and IR light. This is not a haha got you tape. This is more like a look, just to keep you educated. This is what can be created just in creating. They can be created in the following happenstance. So I hope you got something out of the photo aspect of this, and let's move on towards the video aspect. Okay, so I guess we're going to move on to the second stage of our testing, which is now infrared and video cam with the creation of anomalies. I think it's actually going to be a little easier because it's a little less of a timing issue on when to press the button. You know, we're going to use 2 cameras of different quality. This one I'm putting the IR boom on. We're going to probably do it in my room. It's about the darkest. This is an import camera. It's you know, the cheapest to get the IR. So we're going to use a CMA on that, and we're going to use the Panasonic 4K, which is a better quality, and its IR boosters are pretty strong on its own. So I think with the both of them together, I'm still not 100% sure if I'm going to have them side by side or angulated. I think that's actually probably going to be the case, angulated, pointed in the rough same direction, just to see if we can get different angle spots on falling media. So we'll give that a crack and see what comes up with that, and discuss the results afterwards and make a video. Okay, so now that the test will continue using 2 night vision cameras. They're both going to be basically pointed in the same direction, being here, but just off slightly, just to see if we can get an angulation difference. Going to be testing with a number of materials as before: water, cobwebs, dust, pepper, etc. This is dust. This is sprayed water. Like you see residual a lot of pepper in there. This is vaporized smoke. Continuance of pepper. This is pepper. Okay. Dog hair clumps pretty nicely. Try cat hair. Alright, so to the end of all this and the video portion, just to show that anomalies can be created, it wasn't a matter of so at the end of this, it's not a matter really of whether anomalies can be created or not, or deceived. We weren't trying to deceive and mask anything. We were seeing what different kinds of items look like in front of the camera. I was actually a little shocked on the video camera side of things. The lack of dramatic look. Like when I was using the pepper, it just looked like falling dust, right? You know what I mean? It looked like what it was. So on a video camera, it was a lot more easily identifiable, except when you come down to like the dust particles and orbs, which is really what people argue. And the same thing occurs, like the longer it stays in suspension, the more little things happen, more happenstance. When you're trying to create it, like when I'm trying to use cat hair and dog hair, just thud right in front of it, it's the creation of it is just, it's a non-goer, right? You know, it's one thing, you know, to kick up dust on purpose in a dusty area. It's another thing when you see that, you know, air current is moving dust and it's naturally happening and you just happen to see it go across the camera. So in my conclusion, again, I mean, I would still say 99.999% of all orbs and anomalies are just that. Particles, dust, moisture, bugs, being a little closer, a little further away from the camera. A flake type material turned in a certain angle catches the camera flash at a certain angle, or the night shot at a certain angle. There's unfortunately way too many variables to use orbs. When you talk about doing things pragmatically in the deductive reasoning of a case, and I know people get really emotionally involved with orbs, and it's because like they want so bad to think that that's their uncle or their aunt or somebody important to their life. When you want it so bad, you're going to accept it and you're going to see it. But when the reality comes, when you ask an investigator of any merit, they're going to tell you. Like nowadays, we're talking about this damn COVID vaccine, right, being 99 or 96.5% effective. All right, so if 99% of the time an orb is completely blow-offable and it's 1%, yes, would you take a vaccine that is 1% effective? Well, of course you wouldn't. So why would you accept an explanation that is 1% viable? So in this team's opinion, mine, orbs just aren't a viable thing to go off of any investigation, and it's irresponsible of any investigator to use orbs. Be it TV shows, be it any investigator. It's just not a viable thing. It's too much, you know, too much can make it happen. Happenstance is too often. Okay? Thank you very much for watching probably this really droll video.